Today we are honored to have the professor of jazz technology throughout the state of Virginia, the one and only Weldon Hill. But I mean that's okay. I don't have enough clout to introduce him, so I need to pass this on to my co-host, Mr. Bill McGee.
Well,
Too much, man.
I want to introduce you all to a fine gentleman, an excellent musician, and just an all-around great guy, W. Weldon Hill. And I won't tell you what the W stands for,
Yeah, we don't
but,
need
but this is W. Weldon Hill, Dr. W. Weldon Hill.
Dr. W.
And,
Weldon
and
Hill.
his resume is longer than Stevie Wonder's catalog list. So I just want you to know that he is one of the most well-respected musicians in the city of Richmond, and he is well known all over the country. So we're going to welcome Weldon Hill and find out more about him.
Weldon, it's great to have you here.
Oh man, great to be here.
Weldon, you had started making your mark quite early. Where did you start music, and who was your teacher?
The first one was this lady named Mrs. Reynolds at Corley's Music. After a while, that kind of fizzled out probably in 6 or 7 months because we weren't learning a whole lot. So the lady, my mom turned me over to the lady at church who's a Virginia State grad, Brenda Nichols.
When did you realize you want to be serious with it?
Looking back, man, my mom was a member of Columbia Record Club.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes.
I think it was like a quarter a month that you get a record every month.
Right.
I remember we had one of those expandable floor-to-ceiling record racks.
Yeah.
And I can, to this day, remember the top one being Nancy Wilson, How Glad I Am, her first. That red dress on.
Look out, Nancy.
The second one was Ellen Basie, with the two of them sitting at a table.
Okay.
And bottom was Oscar Peterson and Clark Terry.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Then another one was Sam Cooke at the core.
Okay.
Man, we played them records every day.
Yeah.
Because the TV was in my mom's bedroom, so you ain't going there. It's just Saturday morning, so
Right.
listen to the records, man. I like the sound of big bands, and bass and those kind of things. So
Right.
I used to watch Merv Griffin and Dick Cavett and Carol Burnett because they had big bands.
Johnny Carson.
Yes,
Doc
sir. I can
Doc
stay up.
Severinsen. Oh, yeah.
Like them big bands.
So Weldon, let me ask you a question. A lot of people don't know this, but you also play several other instruments. So when did you get in the band at school? Because you were playing piano before you got to school, but
Yeah.
was it elementary school or junior high?
High school, playing glockenspiel for a while.
Oh, you didn't start playing in the band till high school?
Yeah. Because I was playing in church.
Right. Playing piano?
Yeah. At Good Shepherd Church in Richmond, I was playing in the Sunday school, playing 2 hymns, and then I was accompanying the 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade choir, and accompanying the high school choir all the way through.
All right.
So teachers were glad to have an accompanist,
So who was your first teacher in high school, your instrumental teacher?
What high school did you go to?
At Hollow Spring, we moved right before I was
okay.
Okay.
And it would have been Doug Drucker before he left. The lady from North Carolina School of the Arts, Marimel Holmes, came.
All right.
And I was still playing for the choir then.
A lot of people don't know that you're an accomplished drummer and bass player. So I was thinking, and you play baritone, horn, and other things.
I try to play baritone.
Well, I mean that's a bloodline. That's something that skill set you just pick it up, and out of curiosity you learn how to play it all.
Yeah, man. I learned how to play bass on my own after I figured out the strings are in fourths. I was probably a senior in college.
Where are the guys that you played with, Leon and the other guy? Where are they now?
Wayne is still living in Richmond, still playing. He played drums now with Pump House Blues Band.
Okay.
And Leon was one of Peyton's students.
Okay.
Sounded just like Peyton, to play tenor.
Wow.
He's in town still, but stopped playing about 10 years ago. And I mean, Leon got a scholarship to Berkeley. Didn't go.
And didn't go.
No, he was that good.
When did you start playing drums?
Oh, I was 16 that played drums because Isaac Edgerton and I were real good friends. We went to school together. They got some $2 tin can cymbals from Southern Music. They had some stuff they were throwing out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we always have humble beginnings. We all do.
Y'all know that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I had a cornet. I had a cornet that was loaned to me by a senior student at Morris Brown, and she wasn't playing in the band anymore. So she loaned me her cornet. That's how I got started.
Yeah. When did you finish Highland Springs?
77. That was when let's see, Baybra, Leonard Holmes, all them dudes was in Quasar. And that's when I kind of got interested in funk for real.
Oh yeah,
he's doing another thing.
yeah.
I didn't know 3 of them could make that much noise. Okay. Man, I fell in love with mandrill. Let me just tell you. But I was Ohio players, mandrill, tower plower, Earth, Wind and Fire, the usual
Power
stuff.
sound. Solid power sounds. Oh yeah.
Man, that to me is the golden age. That when Larry Dunn started doing all that writing, I had no idea who that was at the time.
Right.
Then I realized Russell Wilson came to high school and then started playing, and I started realizing, okay, these jazz chorus and the chorus they playing with funk and R&B are the same.
Right.
Sharp out, I don't care where you use it.
Yeah, you can hear the Larry Dunn and thing. You know, just to track on that, Hannah's son Brandon did his graduate recital and thesis on the jazz influences of Earth, Wind and Fire. And he worked with Larry Dunn to do that thesis. And Larry would talk to him and send him some charts and talk to him about the chord progressions and how they're influenced by jazz musicians.
Very good.
Yeah, man. The chord progression from September is in so many songs, it's ridiculous.
Right.
Well, Maurice worked with Ramsey Lewis for quite a while, actually.
Yeah.
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 That might be the first time when I met both of them at a gig up there in Massachusetts one time.
Wow.
They were working together.
I didn't meet Ramsey until late. I met him at Billy Taylor's funeral.
I see.
Ah, okay.
Because they were real close buddies.
Right.
Yeah, he played.
They did an album together, and I didn't know that until I did that song for Ramsey, and I did an interview and found out that Billy Taylor and Ramsey had done an album together.
Yeah, yeah. Because they were considered by some as outsiders, the old heads well, Billy could play circles around everybody.
Right.
Ramsey was wanting to play funk with acoustic instruments, and nobody else was doing it.
Yeah.
And he said Oscar Peterson told him, man, don't worry about nobody. You do what you do.
What was the first band that you played with that actually made some money?
Oh, that's easy. You're going to laugh. Plunkett. He called me for a gig at the circus.
Wow.
They're trying to get black kids to come to the circus. We ain't interested. There ain't no animals. So Plunkett played a set in front of the circus right before it started. That was good. The second gig was at the mosque, opening for B.B. King.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, man, I have arrived. Then you realize you don't know nothing.
Just getting started.
Then, left here, moved to D.C., and I was back and forth from D.C., playing primarily with Plunkett and whatever other gigs you could pick up. But man, if you got $50 on a gig. Huh?
This is after you graduated from college?
Yeah, from Union. I was with Russell Wilson all 4 years. I learned a whole lot at Virginia Union, I would tell you. Whatever Hall is a beast, man.
Right.
That dude could, that's probably the pivotal point in life for me, because when I got to college, ain't nobody want to hear about playing the notes. You can play the notes. Now this thing is about what the music is saying. You know what I mean?
Music. That's right. Right.
I finally figured that out. And I said, okay. You know, it ain't how many notes you can play. It ain't how well you can play them, how fast you can play them, whatever. It's the music, man.
So, did you accompany the choir at all when you were playing at Union with
Yeah.
Dr. Hobb?
Yeah, when I was a freshman, man. He, as a matter of fact, Francine Jackson got sick 3 days before tour, had to have an emergency appendectomy. And that's when I started playing. She was gone the rest of the year.
Wow.
My mom used to take me to see the winter concert when I was a kid at the mosque. It's always on the fourth Sunday in January until they put the Super Bowl on the fourth Sunday in January. They moved it. But that was the biggest in town, hottest ticket in town. Fourth Sunday, Richmond Union's winter concert.
Right. That had to be an experience because Dr. Hobbs, Odell Hobbs was like you said, being a beast, man. But the guy, his name goes down with all of the classic HBCU, many in the top tier of the classic HBCU choral directors.
Yeah.
And I know what kind of demands he put on you as far as being musical, like you said.
Yeah.
Because that's what the choir had to be, you know. That Virginia Union's choir, man, followed in the footsteps of the Fifth Jubilee and all those other people, man. And when you start talking about Odell Hobbs, you start naming people like Roland Carter and people like that, man, that were Undine Smith Moore and all of his proteges. You start naming giants. And so I know that his expectations had to be amazing.
Yeah, man. He had been a pupil of William L. Dawson.
Okay.
And he actually brought Dawson to school, man. And my mouth fell over, man. What they could do, none of that was on the printed page.
Right.
They brought to life with music.
Right.
You know what I mean? Russell was the same way. When I was in school, Russell brought, first of all, he started playing some jazz stuff at the choir. When I saw, you know, at 17 years old, that you can play a B flat and a B natural in the same chord and have it sound good.
Right. I know it, right? Okay.
Oh man, I went sharp 9 crazy.
I know it. But so after you left Virginia Union, you went directly to grad school, or you just hung out in DC for a minute?
No, I went directly to grad school.
At Catholic?
Yeah, at Catholic, got a master's in composition in a year and a half.
Okay, so you made that happen.
Yeah, man. I wanted to get in and out. Man, I was supposed to go to Morgan State, and in the last minute got a scholarship at Union. And I heard my mom I overheard my mom tell my Sunday school teacher, "Child, Weldon got sent out to go to school where he gonna get money." And that was the end of Morgan State. But I remember the first time I got baptized by fire was playing bass with Joe Kennedy.
Wow.
Okay. He came to the school and Russell was playing piano and he would play bass with him. Man, I was terrified, man. You know, the whole time he's playing, Joe is all over the place and looking at you. I'm trying to hold on to the form, but Russell was a pupil of Phineas Newborn Jr.
Right.
In Memphis. Russell and Mulgrew Miller and James Williams were all three thick as thieves. Both James Williams and Mulgrew are passed now, but they both told me they were terrified of Russell.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
And he can still, don't get it twisted, because he told me one time, actually I was standing with Joe Kennedy and him, and Joe Kennedy said, boy, I guess Russell taught you all you know. I said, yeah. And Russell said, yeah, I taught him all he knows, but I ain't teaching him all I know.
Make that clear right now.
Make that clear right now.
Get that
so, man, we've done a couple of 2 piano things since that time. And Russell's, he's like Billy Taylor told me one time, he'd leave the windows open in the practice rooms at Virginia State So cats know who was in charge.
Okay. All right.
Because he
All
was
right.
there with Philip Medley.
Still they're right.
Yeah, who else came through there? What's the other piano player? Two came through.
Dick Morgan might have been through there. I
Yeah,
saw it there.
Dick Morgan's a bad dude, boy. Great.
Yeah, man.
He owned DC, which is hard to do when you ain't from there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
When I got back here, man, I was still playing gigs. I was walking down the street going to a rehearsal one day at VCU and saw Doug Richards out on the street. He said, "Man, why don't you come to VCU and you can get a master's?" I already got one. I ain't interested in another. You don't school no more. He said, "Look, I'll give you a graduate assistantship. You just run the section of you and Al Waters." He was recruiting us because the ringers in the band. He didn't want the undergraduate students. He wanted people, that could play in the band.
Right.
Okay.
But that front line of that band was Al Waters, Steve Wilson, Ira Wiggins, and two more people who it don't make no difference who they were. If you got them dudes.
So how did Al end up in Richmond? He was from Florida.
Yeah, he went to FAMU. He came here to be the band director at
Virginia Union, right?
Okay.
Yeah, he founded the Ocean of Soul.
I did not realize Ira Wiggins had gone to VCU until you just took.
Yeah, went to VCU. He should have been the Jazz Studies program director at VCU, but they brought in Tony Garcia instead.
Right.
Yeah,
so, Charles, Ira Wiggins was up until recently the director of the North Carolina Central University Jazz Studies program, where Gates and all these other people have gone to school.
Right. Okay.
Ira, saxophone player, he's a hell of a saxophone player, but he was the director of that Jazz Studies program down there, and I credit him his stability with keeping that program alive.
Right.
North Carolina Central's Jazz Studies, you get a master's degree in Jazz Studies down there, and to me, it's one of the preeminent programs that I try to send students to, because it's good. It's a good program.
And I will tell you, in my opinion, it's top 5 in the country. The HBCU, traditional white school, otherwise.
Oh, really? That's sharp.
It's a great program.
Okay.
See, Branford was artist in residence there for the longest time. He still is.
Oh, still is?
So Branford Marcellus comes in and does the artist in residence stuff.
Okay.
And, that's on a whole nother level too, right there.
All together, yeah. I
mean, believe it or not, there are 6 out of the 103 HBCUs in the United States, only 6 have Jazz Studies programs.
Wow.
Only 6?
Yeah.
Really?
Talk to us about when you got your doctorate at Catholic, and the fact that, from what I know, is you know a little something about Duke Ellington's music.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I started teaching part-time adjunct at Virginia Union from '83, while I was doing a long-term sub when Levy Armwood got sick that time at TJ.
Okay.
Yeah, they offered me when Hugo retired. They offered me his position, and I didn't take it. So I went full-time at Union in '85. Odell Hobbs immediately said, "Well, if you want to keep doing this, you're going to have to go get that doctorate." And he and Preston Yancey helped me get a fellowship.
Okay.
From the National Endowment for the Humanities. What it did was pay your salary and tuition for a year so you get your classwork out of the way. Did that and then came back to Union. And while I was working on the dissertation, started writing. I wanted to do an analysis of Ellington's suites, which were probably more Billy Strayhorn than him. But instead, I chose the sacred concerts because they weren't but 3 of them. And, at Catholic, they were not shy about racism. They told me, if you want a person of color on your committee, you got to go get it and bring us his resume and transcripts.
Wow.
And I wound up getting Rep Stone, who was the jazz studies professor at Howard, who had been to Catholic 15 years before.
Okay.
And that was the only way they let me do it. But I still had to use a European analysis method called Schenkerian analysis. But it's supposed to be the definitive text on the subject.
on Duke Ellington's sacred, because I don't want to
Sacred
repeat it for everybody, on Duke Ellington's sacred concert series or
Yeah.
sacred music.
Yeah. There are three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Played
is one of
the most
those? Isn't one of
important.
those the concert where he featured Katz Anderson on something, and he just really kept up going
Oh
higher and
yeah.
higher,
Yeah.
and he gets to a point where he's squeaking out this high note, Charles, and
Okay.
he's saying, "That's as high as we go.
Then how we
Yeah.
go?
That's as high as we go."
That's cool.
Man, I learned so much about Duke that I didn't know. That dude,
Right.
man, if you could play in the 1920s and 30s in Chicago,
Right.
you had to have the permission of the mob. There's no way you do
Yeah.
anything in Chicago in 1930 that Capone ain't approved.
Really?
It's
And
absolutely.
it's so interesting. Let me butt in. Well, it's so interesting, Charles. I taught that last week to my music appreciation class at Virginia State. I talked to them about the mob. I talked to them about prohibition in the 20s and 30s. And I talked to them about Cuba and how jazz had gotten to Cuba,
Right.
because I was talking
That's
about
right.
Chano Pozo, Weldon. And I was telling them how Chano Pozo, it worked with Diz, but it all reflected back to the mafia's influence. And I was telling them, I was saying, y'all don't understand something. Louis Armstrong left Chicago to go to New York to get away from the mob.
Yes, sir.
Right. Right.
So when you said that, it just struck a chord with me, because historically, there's a lot of people study that. But Duke Ellington at the time was one of the
Kansas
highest
City was the
paid.
same way. Kansas City.
Yeah, that's
Same thing.
absolutely
Duke
right.
Ellington was one of the highest paid recording artists in the world at the time, back then, and he was well respected, man. The guy was amazing, and you're amazing too, Weldon. I appreciate it. Now, Charles Weldon and I had the great fortune of co-producing an album. Not only his, I'll get to your album too, because Weldon and I worked on his album together on my record label. But we also did another album together that he produced, the executive produced, and he funded me recording a pianist at Virginia State who did the work. Tell him, Weldon, about that.
Yeah, it was the 24 Negro Melodies is what it's called by Coleridge Taylor. It's a solo piano work, all based on by Black composer Coleridge Taylor, Samuel Coleridge Taylor, based on Negro spirituals in classic piano style.
Okay.
And we produced it. A guy named David Schaefer Gottschalk was a pianist at Virginia State at the time, and he played them. It's one of the, as I understand it, man, that's one of the few recordings of all 24 of them.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
How long ago was that project?
Well, what was it? Probably about
10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, 10, 12 years ago.
Okay. Okay.
And Charles, it is my sole engineering production for classical music. It's on a well-known classical label distribution, and you can go out there and find it right now. And Weldon found the money for that, and we recorded it at Virginia State, all digital, and it's really not a bad recording at all, man. It's a 2-record set. It's a very good, you see how my little listing out there is engineered for a classical album. I'm going like, wow, but I owe it all to Weldon Hill because he paid me.
Because he paid you. All right.
Hey, man, I need to find the best I can find. Man, but the other thing is, too, you got to have people who are musicians who are.
So where did you run into Weldon, Bill?
I think I've known Weldon since he was at Virginia Union, when his reputation preceded him. But he and I we worked together maybe 20-something years ago when we did the thing down at the Tower Power thing that we did, Weldon. And
the Flood Zone.
Yeah. The Flood Zone, right.
Yeah, we put together, I think we did the horn arrangements, right? We did a big band thing at the Tower Power band thing with Carlton Blunt. I had all the Richmond's aristocracy in that band.
It was nice though.
Pictures, man. I had everybody in Richmond in that band.
Yeah, and it was a nice gig, man. We did an old Tower Power because I think Dave and Doug Richards and them came on after us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Doug Richards saying to me, It's hot up there. I said, yeah, well, ain't nothing I can do about that, bro.
Yeah.
So that would have been in the mid '80s.
Yeah, it sounds about
At
right.
least, at least
Yeah.
somewhere in the 80s.
I had Ronnie Coates, Kevin Davis.
Charles Newton, James Gates.
Yeah.
All right.
And I tell you what, some monsters came out of here, boy. Because I still say Ronnie Coates changed the sound of the drums. I'm sorry.
Right.
He changed that hi-hat rhythm that everybody started playing. Even Jerome started playing it.
Okay.
Right.
Trying to. But he changed it from playing, tap, 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 tap on the hi-hats to chop, 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 chop. Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So, Weldon, tell us a little bit about your album that I had the pleasure of working with you on, but tell us a little bit about it. And one of your tunes that I use when I can with anything that has something to do with public domain or whatever it is the horse he rode in. How do you pronounce that? Therio?
Therio, yeah. It's an acronym, TH, the horse he rode in on.
Yeah, there's a song called
dedicated to my ex-wife.
Child. The horse you rode in on.
The horse you rode in on.
Yeah, nice track though. Really nice track.
Yeah, man, it was sort of a compilation of experiences through my whole life with dedication to my mom. I did a version of One Less Bell to Answer because I used to watch the Ed Sullivan show. I loved, especially when Diana Ross was on there.
50 minutes.
Yeah.
Marilyn McCool, right.
Yeah, Bill David. The theme from the Jackie Gleason show.
Oh, yeah.
Richard.
Yeah. And what's the gospel tune? It's not the gospel tune. It's what's the ballad that you did on that album? Make me remember again.
One of them I did a hymn.
The hymn.
Having Jesus.
Yes.
The ballad is that's the theme to the Jackie Gleason thing called.
But What a Friend We Have in Jesus, Charles. When you get a chance to, you check that out. It's really, really, really nice.
All right.
Really nice. And it was a Weldon Hill quartet. So it was. I got a chance to work with Weldon and Michael Hawkins and Billy Williams and Gates, right? Gates played
on. Desiree's on there too.
And Desiree's singing on there too. Yeah.
Oh, no, you guys have been working as a team for quite a while.
Yeah, man. Mike Hawkins, the original East-West quartet, as we would call, was Clarence C., Howard Curtis, Gates, and me.
Right.
Mike Hawkins used to literally follow us around. And when Clarence moved to Florida, we said, well, come on, young fella.
That's right.
But he's good.
Yeah.
We got to get Mike on here too, Charles.
Oh, yeah.
Mike has
all over the world.
He has an album out also that's good.
Yeah,
I'm working on. Bill did it just recently. I think within the last year, recorded the first classical movement of a suite that strings I'm working on. I finally finished the second movement, by the way. But I'm gonna have to have.
And that was a joy in itself, just listening to all the strings. And what you did, what Weldon did on that, Charles, is what we've had to learn to do progressively. Is he produced and arranged, and he sat back when we recorded, and he sat back and actually did the Quincy Jones thing, which he was supposed to do. Whereas over the years, we all have tried to we tried to play, record, arrange, play, do all this other stuff. Right. And we've come to the conclusion, maybe we ought to just start doing one thing at a time.
Now, I learned that I finally stuck to me. I learned that from Bill McGee, and so I'm a Bill McGee disciple on that now. I have learned my lesson. Stop trying to do everything.
Yeah, stop trying to do it all.
Right. And the beautiful part about working with Weldon is and this is the thing we love, Charles, is that he handed me the score. And we're sitting there, and you got people that everybody in the thing can read the doggone
He got the chart. Yeah, he got the chart.
So we know.
Bill might say, hey, why don't you move that down an octave?
Right.
Man, it was so nice to have fresh ears. You ain't got to do everything,
Right.
Maybe to make that staccato right there.
That was back in the days when my eyes weren't blurry.
Right.
Oh yeah, bro. The
But
church with it.
the session went so well because we didn't try to. Everybody wasn't trying to do everything, you know.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And I guess that's we living and
Or
learning.
memorize or try to memorize what the
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
man.
you know you can
I
read.
remember that first record Plunky did on a major label. It was Sutra Records, which was a subsidiary of Buddha at the time.
right.
And I will never forget, we went in there on pure testicular fortitude, man. One of them
Wow.
click track. Kevin Davis had a bass drum, a snare drum, a crash cymbal, and a set of hi-hats. Played the grooves. And lo and behold, Every Way But Loose was born, you know.
Wow.
And Plunkett just sold that thing, what, 4 years ago?
Okay.
Sold that whole catalog.
You put in the
But
time.
Weldon, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us as far as your development, music in Richmond, your influences? We always try to name different people
Oh, yeah.
because we like to call it. We believe that this digital format we're doing is going to live on long past all of us. And in doing so, we want people to be remembered. So who are those people that you remember musically that you want to at least recognize? We know Johnny Payton because you did your student
Right.
teaching.
He's on Johnny Payton. Yeah.
You did a
Yeah,
student teaching under Johnny Payton, Charles.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a good guy. Good guy.
Johnny Payton.
That was my first teacher.
Lloyd Ricks.
Oh yeah.
I was a playing joker, boy. Yeah, him and Peyton paid more attention than anybody I've seen in my life. Dave Williams, Tuscan Jasper,
Right.
Dave Hoggard, Bubba Robinson. That was a long time before they finally let me play with them. Of course, Russell Wilson, the faculty at Virginia Union, Russell Wilson and Odell Hobbs. And I'm just talking about the Richmonders now. Then we go, man, I was struck. That period, let's see, so it was Quasar, Starfire, Standing Room Only, Ujima, Plunkett, of course, Wallers, Trussell, of course, Jimmy Castor Bunch,
Elwood Henderson.
Bailey had, Leroy Bailey had Contemporary Dimensions. That was the jazz band out of Union. You may not know this, man, but everybody said, well, we can't mess with Trussell. So Glenroy decided to go the other route. We're going to play straight ahead jazz. So he found the Contemporary Dimensions at Union. That was him. I think that was Scooby playing bass. I can't remember. Billy Evans was playing keyboard.
Okay.
That was a good. I was influenced by all those bands, man. The one I left out, Starfire, Ronnie Copeland. My goodness.
Right, Ronnie and Star, right.
Oh, now what your band? Oh, you in about 10 bands though, so I can't. No, I hit one of them.
Well, Ujima and Brother Love and all of them were all the
all of that was me. Brother.
Yeah, I remember.
First was ESP, and then Brother Love, Ujima, Anglo-Saxon Brown, Silk.
Oh, Anglo-Saxon Brown, that's right. Woo. Silk, man.
We were old timers to you though.
There was that many bands around here.
Yeah, but to your time frame, we were the old timers.
I didn't care. I figured I don't want to play with these guys that don't know much as I do. I'm trying to I'm supposed to know more than I do. The major influences, man, would have to be Russell and Billy Taylor helped me out a lot in the early 80s. I met him then. And man, he was uber competitive, even in the last years of his life, man.
Wow.
We produced him at a concert at Virginia State. And I was bringing him to the stage. He said, I got something for you tonight, boy. He played The Man I Love with one hand behind his back.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
He turned around and looked at me, and I just.
So Charles, a lot of people don't know this because Weldon is such a humble person. But Weldon has had quite a few high positions in higher education. He was one of the vice presidents at Virginia Union, and he was the provost, the second in charge at Virginia State University for years. And and he doesn't tell anybody all that.
He's extremely accomplished. I mean, that's well known.
Work hard, you know.
Yeah.
Man, you know, I had to make that decision early on. We all got to make it. But I realized when I was 16 or 17, all right, well, when I walked in the gym at Virginia Union and I saw Jamie Weldon and them cats, the smallest dude in there was 6'4", 230. I said, well, I guess we ain't going to the NBA. And the other one you got to make is, you know, what you going to do? Because Plunkett's first deal ran out. The record company did not renew. I think it was 84, 85. Didn't renew for the second contract. So Plunkett went independent and started putting stuff on Black Fire, which is fine with me. But, you know, my mom by then was single because of the divorce, you know, and I was determined I was not going to see her want for anything. I remember going through the Holland Tunnel in New York, you know, and the guy was showing me that's what that big apartment building right after you come out of the tunnel to the right there is where all the musicians and artists live. I went in there. I ain't living like this.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
Yeah, and Billy Taylor told me, well, you got to make a decision. But he did say you can do both. But Billy Taylor was all world, man, you know. But I did, I played a lot with Doug Williams' Great American Music Ensemble, and that got me onto the stage at the Kennedy Center, you know, 15, 20 times.
Right.
And,
very good.
I credit Murray DePillar to this day. When I was at VCU, he called me in one day and said, your job is to pick up every artist we bring in here. And I mean, Murray DePillar's a New Orleans cast from Chicago. So he was bringing in Art Blakey, Hammy Blewett, Freddie Waits, McCoy Tyner. He brought everybody in here, you know. My job was to pick them up at the airport.
Wow.
That's how I got the job, the gig with John Faddis.
Wow.
That's how I got the gig with Benny Carter.
That gives you direct connections. That gives you direct contact and conversation.
Yeah. And you know, I learned that from Murray Pillars, and it's all about being able to communicate with people.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Weldon, Marcellus, Branford, Ray John. The list is a mile long of people I got a chance to get to know just from
Yeah. Because you were connected with VCU when Daddy Marcellus was there, right?
Yeah. But I would say my major influences around here, as far as piano goes, would definitely be Billy Taylor, and who was around here a lot then, because he was on the jazz side of the board at the time, you know.
Right.
Russell. What's the other piano player went to state?
Joe Bonner played with Pharaoh.
Joe Bonner's a bad dude, man.
Yeah, played with Pharaoh, right.
Yeah.
And all the other guys, too.
Yeah.
Hey, Weldon, I don't know. I appreciate you so much. I don't know how much more we can get in on the time that Charles allows us. But we truly appreciate you. And we truly know that you represent Richmond and the music in Virginia, as well as anybody, world-class musician. And we truly appreciate you. We really do.
Man, thank you. I appreciate being on here, man. Y'all got to write this down. This is a good way to almost do an audio book, which is probably more effective now than writing stuff.
Yeah, well, that's in the making as well. You can do that as well.
Somebody got to do it.
It's truly been a pleasure to talk with you, Weldon, and quite informative. You brought back some memories, and you also enlightened us on a few other things that possibly some folks just didn't know. The city admires your talent and your skill set, and you're well known in the whole industry. So not just Richmond, but all over the place. So you've had good contacts with good folks, and We just know nothing but bright futures ahead for you as well. That means that you can really do music for the love of it.
Oh man, it's been a blast. I had to hit the brakes a little bit, man. I'm not 26 no more.
When you want to do some old jazz standards with an old man, give me a call.
Oh yeah, well I call you tomorrow then.
Anyway, guys, it's a pleasure to see both of you, and an honor to have you here, Weldon. Thank you again.
Pleasure, man. I'm honored and privileged, man.
Let's Talk Music, RVA, signing out. Thank you.
I love it.
Bless everybody. Thank you.